Well, I'm talking now with Clare Barber, of course, the Bedison. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Great wedding. We're talking, though, seriously about what's going on the promenade. You are in charge of the scrutiny committee. You've got another one of these events coming up. Now it's resting with you. I thought it'd be good to find out what you're doing, because it's an ongoing situation. You're having these reports, you're having meetings. What's happened? Where are we up to?
So we've been taking evidence, and we've had some really interesting submissions talking about the impact that this has had on people and their businesses on the promenade. And we will then be reviewing that evidence and deciding who we want to call in for a further oral session with that. But in the interim, we want to call in Enterprise. So that's the next piece of work. We want to talk to them around the business agency and also the visit agency. We think that both of those are very much involved with this work with the promenade, and looking at what work they've done, how they're working with the businesses and with the tourist offering on the promenade to mitigate against the challenges that are very, very apparent down there.
Have things got better? I mean, that last one you had, the scrutiny committee meeting, was interesting, wasn't it, in all sorts of ways, for lack of clarity, to be polite, and lack of communication, being polite.
Yeah, and I think we're certainly still having challenges of communication, and people are raising that directly with the committee and with myself and Mr. Robert Shaw on a sort of local basis. Obviously, the fact we're both MHKs for Douglas East, and we are the committee at the minute.
Have you not got a third person to take over? Or is it Rob Collins is off it, right?
Rob's off, but we can't do anything until Tynwald sit again, at which point we could request Tynwald vote another member, but we can't do that without the support of Tynwald. Yeah. Okay. So in the interim, we're carrying on as the two of us, and that will be a decision that we'll be making very shortly as to what the next step is around that third member. But what we're wanting to do is try and bring all this information that we've received together and then talk to Enterprise about that. And I think that's a very important part of this. That was the reason, obviously, that Rob Collister stepped back from the committee, was that he is very much involved in the tourist industry. That's his field of responsibility within DFE. And while we've seen some positive moves from within DFE with the compensation scheme, we don't feel that that's enough. We know that there's work going on behind the scenes to look at a more far-reaching scheme. But from my talking with the people on the promenade, some of them don't fit within that scheme.
Well, I've heard the same thing, and we're doing some interviews this week because it clearly is quite a lot of hoops to jump through, and you've got to hit certain criteria. And from what I'm hearing, most of these people aren't going to hit that criteria. So we're wasting everyone's time trying to do it in the first place. It's got to be something much more simple, hasn't it? Yeah,
I think that DFE have done an honourable thing in trying to use the legislation they already have to create something that will work. The reality is that I think they knew there were some people who would fall through the gaps with that.
You think they actually knew that?
I think they knew that there was nothing more they could do within what they had, because they're bound by the Enterprise Act. They can't suddenly just do something different without the will of Tynwald. So that would require something being brought through legislative means, either a legislative vehicle or a policy-led decision through Treasury. So they've put together the best they can within what's there now, but that absolutely isn't the end position. It can't be. And certainly when I've spoken to people on the promenade, there's issues around. Obviously, it's a very blunt instrument at the minute. You look at last year's figures, you look at this year's, and you see what's happened in between. There's some people who are now working, two or three times the number of hours. They've reduced their number of staff. They're not paying themselves anymore. So their overall income looks not that much difference. But the level of personal loss that they've suffered to just maintain that level is huge, and I don't think you can sort of overstate that. And that's something that we're trying to extrapolate through the data we're gathering in the inquiry, because we want to then be able to present that to DFE, DOI and Treasury, working together, we hope, to come up with a bigger scheme that tries to catch everyone. Right,
you're getting your hands dirty. You've been down the prom, you've met people, have you?
Yeah, and there's people I'm meeting this week. I've got a couple more meetings scheduled this week. There's people who are calling me, messaging. I'm keeping in touch with people, popping into shops, and just trying to talk to people out there who are really struggling with this.
Douglas East MHK helm, I presume, rather, because this committee, you've got to be sitting there and listening to the evidence. And all that sort
of course, and I'm encouraging people to submit evidence, because that's what we need. We want it, there in written format. and then there's some people who've arranged meetings with us to talk through, because there's also a nervousness, because when you start putting your data and your numbers from your business, that puts you in a vulnerable position, because ultimately it's a competitive market. So there's a balance, and we're working very hard to try and make sure that we represent the views of the businesses, but without putting them at any vulnerability.
Are you hoping when these people come in front of your committee, they will have the information that you need? Because you were asking questions and they didn't seem sometimes to have even the answers it seemed that they should have had. That
was certainly the case with the DOI evidence, and it was disappointing.
You were disappointed with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that the Minister stayed to listen to the evidence. I think that was a very important move that he made, because I don't think there was a realisation as to quite the level of impact it was having on the businesses up until that point.
Which means they hadn't engaged enough, or hadn't been down there to talk to them, or what, do you think?
Yeah, and the businesses are still saying that they're not getting the level of information they want. We've got closures this week with the cut-through roads from the Promenade to Strand Street.
It seemed a bit vague on their things. It didn't give you
the map
dates.
I've been looking at this morning trying to interrogate it. There's no dates on this. The roads that cut through from the Promenade to Strand Street, which are often used for deliveries, they're used for disabled drop-offs. They're very much, an accessibility, access point. They're marked off that they'll be shut, and yet it's very unclear as to will they all be shut together. When will they be shut?
Why are there no dates on it then?
There's no, that
so
detail
is it just going to be guesswork, or will there be something? Well, this we're going to find out.
That certainly is the feedback I'm getting when I'm speaking to businesses. They're saying we can't predict when this is going to happen. The way the promenade's been done is in 3 phases. So you're going to have the seaside, the landside, and the bit in the middle. So each business, in theory, is going to be affected 3 separate times. They don't know when those are going to be. So where business, and they've seen a downturn, they may have laid off some staff, they've reduced their numbers, because obviously you've got to make your business functional. Yeah. That's a choice they've been forced into. It's certainly not one they've taken lightly. And then they end up in a position when business picks up or there's a spike, they haven't got the staff to manage it. Yeah. So they're in an incredibly vulnerable position because they can't manage that staffing because they don't have that data they need.
Sure, so obviously planning ahead is helpful, but also somewhere you can get to and know on that day Ridgeway is going to be shut, or that one's going to be shut, or well, the road names are. That's what you need, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and that also stands true for the emergency services. And I spoke to one of the crews in one of the emergency services who were saying that each morning before their shift, the first thing they do is they drive down and they have a look and see what's actually happening on the ground, because the reality is that the plans aren't live enough. That they're not regularly updated. So the only way to do it is a visual firsthand.
We've been promised so much more information, and this is what the. Just listen to that back, far bigger, going down to see what's going on.
Yeah, and that's about, and that for me is a big concern. That's something we've been liaising with the emergency services. I know that my prom team have been liaising with the emergency services, but that's something we can't. Again, you can never over communicate. I just think, this is the same message I always talk to you about government generally. Communication.
Yeah.
If you're in doubt, make sure there's more out there than less. And I think that's what is being really desperately asked for from the businesses. It's being asked for from the emergency services and from everyone else really who are just using the promenade.
Well, I could go down every week and just do an update because people want to watch it regardless if I just look in the hole, but it would be lovely to get people to come on camera and take us through this all the time, but I'm sort of struggling. I'm hopefully getting Ray Harmer once a month, but it is just knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would also say that there was, one day last week where I went down with the business and we had a really pragmatic response from the contractors and my prom team working together. We got something resolved within about half an hour, and I thought if we could have had this on everything we've dealt with, I'd be down here saying what a fabulous project and how well we're doing. So there is good work, and I don't want to take away from that because there are people really trying to get this right.
Yes, you don't want to keep bashing people.
Yeah,
but the fact is that some of those businesses are struggling. And
they are, without a shadow of a doubt. So I think there's a balance. There's stuff that's happening where I think, wow, that's a breath of fresh air. If we could just have that the rest of the time. And then there's this little bit in my mind saying, but we had that really pragmatic solution to a problem. Am I going to get a phone call next week? Someone saying, oh, actually, we've looked into that and that's not going to work anymore. Okay. And I don't want that. I want us to be able to say, do you know what, we've got businesses, they've got some very clear needs, they're all supporting getting the promenade done. What they're asking for is that input, that information, that regular communication to allow them to make the sort of decisions you need when you're running a business.
Okay, well, your next committee, it's in the public, so people can go along and have a look. We'll put the details on the screen there, and we'll get you back maybe and chat about how it all went and keep in touch with you as well on this one.
Yeah, of course.
Communicating.